Thus far in this course, we've talked about shifting our mindset and really addressing and kind of trying to dig a little bit deeper into dealing with our anxieties, digging into the roots of those anxieties, and kind of the idea in the realm of processing and trying to process at a deeper level kind of those things that kind of really make us kind of explode, those things that really trigger our anxieties, our worries, our stresses, our addictions. And so dealing with those processes can be a very more thought-based approach, which can be helpful and is helpful as we kind of reflect and address some of those internal things, and making changes in our day-to-day lives, understanding the impact our brain has on those things as it goes back and forth. Now, understanding this framework that the way we look at stress, the way we look at what's going on with us and what's happened to us can really change the way that we feel, the way that we act and behave. Another part of what we want to do within this is to address and learn to interact differently with the triggers that we have now. So this is where we're starting to transition from a place where we're just looking at the past, just processing some of those internal beliefs and ideas and that kind of stuff, and really starting to take action towards making a difference in how we interact with the triggers that we have. And part of what this looks like is, just exposure therapy. When we're dealing with, let's say, phobias, if we're working with someone with phobias, we're not going to start them with kind of interacting with whatever they're afraid of. So if, let's say, it's arachnophobia, right? They're afraid of spiders. We're not going to start bringing spiders in, putting it all over their body, Fear Factor style. That doesn't work. That would traumatize the person even more, kind of re-traumatize, just make the issue worse, reinforce the reaction that we do not want. And so what we do is we start at a very surface level idea of the thoughts, kind of addressing those thoughts, the ideas that they have about this, thinking about kind of the spiders, bringing up and activating that nervous system response to just thinking about it. And a lot of people who have really bad phobias or really bad anxieties, just thinking about the trigger is enough to start their nervous system kind of to activate, kind of that back brain starts to get going and the front brain starts to shut down. So what we want to do is start there, start at the least level of reactivity and get the body activated, start down that path. And then we're going to settle things down. So we're kind of building some resilience by exposing the person or ourselves to a little bit of the trigger or a little bit of the issue and the problem through our thoughts, and then do coping skills. And find the following modules that you'll be able to access and kind of go through. We'll just go through several coping skills that I have found very helpful with anxiety specifically, on top of the journaling, on top of just other things that you know that you use to kind of cope that are healthy, not the addiction, but other things that help you kind of relax and find peace, right? Connecting with others, go for walks, spiritual practices. The idea of finding ways that are healthy and practicing those things when you get anxious is that's the skill here. That's the drills we're running right now, is exposing yourself, exposing us to bits and pieces of the trigger, and then training ourselves to react and respond in a different way. Training our bodies to settle down, to relax, to not have to go to other forms of coping that are less healthy, and really focusing on that. So again, we go into the thoughts, we kind of start thinking about this, reflecting on this, till we start to feel that initial nervous system response, that back brain activating, and then we practice calming ourselves down until we can think about the issue and feel fine, feel okay, right? It might be a little bit distressing, we're not comfortable with it, and we know we're not comfortable, but we're able to talk about it, think about it, and experience those things without losing control, which is the point. So that once we get to that level of thinking about it, then, like, again, going back to the example of spiders, we might start bringing in some visual triggers, pictures, right? Some pictures, or we might bring in some like stuffed animals, toys, things like that, to kind of really start to make it a little bit more of a sensory experience instead of just a mental experience. So it's kind of bringing those cues, those triggers into it. And the same idea, from a distance, or kind of bringing those things, and we start to kind of relax the system, bring the system down into a place where we can kind of experience, see it, and not get triggered, not get kind of explode, and not kind of lose control, not shut down because of that back brain experience. Recognizing that what we're experiencing is our body's way of trying to help us face this danger that the body's learned that is a danger, and then come down. All right? So we practice those relaxation skills. We practice what it takes to kind of come down, and whether that be kind of doing some push-ups, whether that be going for a walk, getting in nature, doing those things. Whether that be going for a walk, getting into nature, doing the things that help us relax. So then once the person, or once we can kind of be exposed to kind of certain images or kind of sensory input that is similar, not the same, similar, something less kind of threatening or less invasive or intense, then we want to get a little bit closer, right? And so let's say with the arachnophobia, with the spider, we might bring the spider into the awareness of the person. We have it in a cage, a little bit farther off, and they can see it moving, and their body will start to kind of activate. And during this time, if we're journaling and kind of working through that, these steps might go a lot quicker, and we can work through it in a way that we're practicing thinking and acting the way we want to when we're facing triggers. And so again, we kind of from a distance kind of see the actual thing, right? And then slowly bringing in those triggers. So if we're stressed out about fights and arguments, kind of seeing somebody argue, seeing someone fight, or seeing the person we have a conflict with, and being able to be in their presence from a distance maybe, or about a topic, and then stopping things, taking a break, helping our system regulate, practice the coping skills. And I think this is something very important, is when we're talking coping skills, the more you practice those coping skills, the more you drill that into your system, the better it's going to function for you. And so at first it might not be so great, and it might take a lot of time and effort, and right after you're done doing it, you just kind of go back into feeling stressed out. Keep practicing, keep working on it, because the more that you can help make that shift from being dysregulated or anxious and upset to a place of calm relaxation, the easier you're going to be able to control that, right? So again, the different levels that we try to bring in that conscientious exposure to the trigger. Then kind of putting it within reach, where we're kind of in that place, facing the trigger, facing the issues, helping us come back to a calmed, regulated state, level by level, step by step, until we can kind of really interact with whatever it is. And so, again, spider phobia, kind of being in the presence, being able to maybe even hold it, have it on their body, and feeling calm. But that takes practice. I think another part of this that's very important to recognize is that when we're doing exposure therapy, that it's not a forced issue. Like I said at the beginning, if we just bring in a bunch of spiders and throw it on somebody, that's not going to help anything. If we're able to slowly make these progressions and the person feels like they have a choice, that we have a choice in this process, that we're making the decision and kind of going along, saying, yes, I want to face this. Yes, I want to deal with this. And choosing to face our triggers, choosing to face our anxieties, recognizing that choice in and of itself is helping to overcome that trigger. Us choosing to not let these things control us, not let these things interact with us or make us act this way. When we choose to face and have that faith to deal with the problem, even in small levels, there's going to be a distinct change in us. Going back to the lesson about journaling, when we're choosing to stretch towards the person we want to be, choosing to face our fears, face our stressors and anxieties, and accept that our body is doing everything in its power to help us along that process, and we just kind of have to guide that, this is going to be so much easier to then face things in the future. When you get the confidence that your body's doing everything to help you, that you can work through these things, and that you are choosing to face and become something, oh man, then we're going to be really humming. We're going to be in that. Oh man, then we're going to be in that sweet spot where things are just humming. We're just getting better. We're facing things, and it doesn't matter where the trigger comes from. The kind of that generalization of coping and dealing with things is just going to continue to grow. Our brains are fantastic and wonderful in learning and being able to generalize principles and skills into other areas of our life, for good or for bad. But this area, so practice this idea. Think about those steps, and right now kind of thinking about what are some of the major triggers of stress. This can work for kind of triggers with kind of addictions as well and traumas. And I would encourage that if there's anything really severe and problematic, that you have a mentor, a sponsor, a therapist or counselor, someone you can talk to and who can kind of guide you through it and can help you along the way. You don't have to do this alone. As you learn to face and deal with these triggers step by step, for anxiety, for addictions, for depression, the more resilient you will feel and the more confident you will feel in your everyday life.